Emiliano.
How you doing?
I'm so great. I'm so happy that you would be able to hop on to this recording. We're going to use this time together in a couple of ways. We'll put it on our YouTube channel. We'll probably put it on our Instagram. We'll probably share it in other ways. But we'll also cut it into one of our courses now on the tablets in over 400 different prisons and jails. So we'll cut it into a section called Release Prep. And so what I want to share with all our students is how applicable the GOGI Life Tools are to preparing for release, actually being able to be released, and then utilizing it later. But the reason I thought you'd be perfect for this is you sent me an email and you said, Coach, someone saw me on one of the videos. They reached out to me. They're preparing for board. Can you tell me that story again? Because I think it's really cool. One, that you're available to students inside. And two, that they wanted to know more about GOGI, that you're sharing more about GOGI. And here you are sharing it with the world. Tell me the story of how that happened.
Well, I guess to begin with, I had made myself available to become a coach while I was still inside, preparing to be released, and listening to a lot of people believing that it was impossible. But there were a couple students. One of them, he became a coach. Leonidas. Leonidas, he's still preparing for board, and I told him, listen, stick to the long run. There's certain things. Sometimes the mill runs slow. There's not a lot of people running volunteer, and I still in contact with him. And I guess that I told him, hey, anyone that's trying to get out and they're studying Gogi and such and that, I'm available for that. And a guy named named Gonzalo, he reached out to me and he's like, hey man, Emiliano, I seen your videos. I know how you used to live. I know how you live now. I see Gogi helped you. I seen the video. Hey, I believe it's helping me. I'm going to court, this and this and that. And he explained the details, in details. And I told him, hey, look, I have no problem with you. I like that you changed your life around. I asked him several things. He understood the Gogi thing. I told him, look, don't just know the Gogi 12 tools. Don't just know that there's 4 groups of Gogi. Internalize it. How does it work for you? And he was able to answer that. And, those are things I've heard you say when I first met you, when I first graduated my first Gogi class. So to pass it on to him in a sense, not just to test him, but to pass it on to him, to see that he had really embraced the Gogi lifestyle, changing, learning how to use his tools. So then I explained to him how I prepared, and by using the smart part of our mind. You may think smart, but Gogi tells you to be more efficient. That's why belly breathing comes in. It makes you be more efficient of what you're doing. So some of the things that I was preparing for when I got out were good things, but like the board is very detail oriented. They want to make sure you have good parole plans. So I told him the first thing to start off in his parole plan that he knows that he's about to jump into an endeavor that's more difficult. Because in prison we survive by having a routine, doing things that are productive, keeping our minds sane. Out here, you're gonna do exponentially more. So I explained, you gotta pay rent. You have to get up. You have to be on schedule. You might wake up and go to a job there, but right here you have to wake up, deal with traffic, get insurance. Like, well, if you get a car, understand that if you buy a car financing, you have to get full coverage insurance, and that's almost as much as your pay as your car note itself, because you're going to be considered a new driver even if you had driving experience. That's what happened to me. I had been driving since I was 16, but I was in prison for 29 years, so I was basically considered a new driver. So I was just preparing him that, showing him that the smart part of your brain is gonna make you be more efficient at what you're trying to do in life. And I told him, hey, this is year 3 for me. I consider it graduation season because in 4 years of high school, you graduate. 4 years of college, you graduate. So it's time for me to get a better degree. I'm studying for my state exam for AOD counseling. I'm preparing to file my 4900 motion where I could become factually innocent, because right now I'm just plausibly innocent. But you have to be factually innocent. That way I can remove the felony and I can possibly try to be a teacher in it and everything, because I have my AA degree. I took some more college classes since I've been out here. So I told him, explain to the judge that you're taking on more difficulty because you're gonna have bills. I told him I never even understood Wi-Fi was a bill I was gonna have to pay, but you have to pay Wi-Fi. See, the smart part of my brain prepared me for that. And when I used to teach Kogi classes before my release, I explained that. Remember what you're trying to do. you're trying to make your life more difficult. Prison is difficult for you mentally, but as far as living and surviving in a pro-social manner, you're taking on things that you hadn't taken on. Because in prison, you just wake up, you're in this. No, you have to be places and you have to go there. If you don't have a car, you have to be on the bus or understand Uber, budgeting for your groceries. These are all things you have to do now. So
Emiliano, it sounds like a lot. And, as this is viewed by a lot of people who are in an 8-foot cell with a two-inch mattress, they know when they get up within 30 seconds, they're at their job. I mean, their job is right there. They aren't having to decide what to wear or buy the clothes to wear or how to get to the job or even how to hold a job. There's so many dynamics in employment. If you could explain a little bit about what do you mean when you say when I was teaching Gogi on the inside and being a coach, because there are many prisons and jails that don't have Gogi coaches, that don't have the Gogi curricula. So in a lot of cases, they're only seeing you and me in this release prep video. They are not understanding what's available to them, what's available to the average person in a jail setting. How would they do Gogi? How do they prepare?
well, you start off with your material and then, start off with the first tool, bossing your brain. Am I the boss of my brain? That's a question you have to ask yourself. Are you really being the boss of your brain, or are you meandering through life? Are you preparing to be free? Or do you just want to magically be free and think life is going to magically work? It's not like that. That's why you hear a lot of people protesting about the government, because you have to be an active participant in your life. And by that, be the boss of your brain.
So,
And
can somebody prepare for release if they truly understand the Gogi Life tool called Boss of My Brain? If they truly understand that, if that's like the only tool they ever learn and they really learn it, do you think
that,
they could survive in this chaotic world beyond the wall?
yes, because I'm doing it. It's year 3. Not only do I have jobs, I have certifications and things of that nature. And then I was able to put out my fantasy book. I was able to do things because being using the smart part of your brain, you know how to compartmentalize your life. You have to. You have to know what you're doing. When I was preparing to get out, people were like, "Hey, let's go to yard, do this." I'm like, "Nah, I gotta do this class." They're like, "Emiliano, you always doing a class. You don't just do the class. You facilitate the class. Like, what are you doing? You walking around with?" I'm like, "Look, I like to give maximum effort." See, when you really use the smart part of your brain, you're giving maximum effort. And you say, how would I get out if I only use most of my brain? Period. The board wants you to know in the state of California, you have to show insight. You have to show accountability and remorse. If you don't show insight, if you don't show remorse and responsibility, you can't even think, no matter how good of a guy or how many years clean you have. I don't have any write-ups. If you can't show insight into yourself, you're not gonna get out. That's the first. These are the first thresholds. And boss of your brain shows you, okay, it breaks your brain down into simple forms. It's not all psychological. It's not all academic. The way you perform the key words for it and the tools, smart part, old habit part, emotional part. A lot of us do emotional thinking. That's not just a bad thing or a good thing, but it's just emotional thinking. You forget to see the whole picture where you love someone too much or you hate someone too much. You have to say, "Hey, I was mad that day. I wasn't aware of how I was feeling emotionally." That's lack of insight. Once you're able to say, "Oh, this is why I got into that fight. I had been tricked into these warped sense of beliefs that I had to walk around with a chip on my shoulder, always ready to snap and be angry." That's emotional thinking. And then you say, "Well, what happened here? You did this when you were 22, then you did it to 32." The board will ask you these kind of questions. They're like, "When you were 22, you were still young, but now at 32, you're doing the same thing." Then you got to understand, oh, that was old habit thinking. I had put it in my head so many times, it became old habit. It wasn't even emotional anymore. I was walking around like, boom, I could just turn. Now, if I'm smart thinking, I'm able to explain that. It started off as emotional thinking, now it became old habit thinking. So now I'm telling you how I developed these character defects. And I can show you my coping skills that make me do. Well, now I'm the smart part of my brain. And that automatically leads me to the tools of choice. The thing about the tools of the body, they give you the tools of the choice. positive thoughts, positive words, positive action. I have to choose these things. I have to choose. And you can do that just by the smart part of your brain,
Are
being the
you
boss of your
using the
brain.
tools today? I mean, you've been 3 years. Are you using the tools today? How do you incorporate them into who you are or what you do?
Well, I'm using them now, showing up for this video because it's more beneficial for others than it is for me. Because they're trying to get to where I am. And I'm trying to show them, hey, it could be done. And it's a positive thing. It's productive because, hey, I didn't even know making that last video would touch someone like Gonzalo. So here he is. He's changed his life. Now his board time and his release time can be moved up. So it's beneficial. It's productive. And then it's positive and it's powerful because I know some members of his family. He gets out, they're missing their brother. They're missing their older brother, young, because some he had. That's a powerful thing. So if you look at the 3 P's of the 12 choice, it's positive, it's productive, it's powerful. That's the smart thing to do. And it shows insight. It understands that it's bigger than me, it's bigger than you. You founded this thing called Gogi, and it's helping people get out. It's helping people be able to articulate the changes they were making.
So
So that
let's say you're in Alabama in a jail and you have a tablet and you run across this release prep video, this release prep course. And this is about all you're going to get. You don't get much else. So this is all you're going to get. What is your advice? They don't have a Gogi book. They don't have a Gogi coach nearby. They don't have really much of anything. It's just them and their tablet. How can they grab onto something to hang on and use over and over again?
show the details. Show the details of your plan. Show the details of what you're preparing. Don't just say, "Hey, I'm going to get out and I'm going to work at work spot A." Say, I'm gonna get out and work at work spot A. I'll make this much an hour, this much a week, this much a month. After taxes, I'll make between this range and this range because I'm a single father or I'm a single household, etc. I'm gonna have this much for rent because I have this. I'm gonna donate this much. You have to understand that you looking into prices. You have to show them that you understand this. Like I had a friend and I was able to help him. He's getting deported, but he was in my last cellmate, and I helped him get out. And I explained to him the details. Don't just show that you have multiple different jobs. Show that you understand what you want. Like one of my plans was to get a hybrid. I currently drive a hybrid. My first car out was a hybrid because I was explaining to them that in LA, you 9 out of 10, if you want a good job, you're gonna be driving distance and dealing with traffic. So I'm gonna save gas money by showing this. I showed the details. So make sure you're showing contingency plans because as you know and I know, life happens. Like I was starting off to go try to take a book to some bookstores in Pasadena. The the wildfire happened. So now I'm like, is that library still up? Is it down? I didn't go to work for 2 days because the smoke was so thick. So it was still happening. And
Yeah.
you have to be prepared. Show that you're prepared for bad things and that you'll respond, not react to bad things or good things. You're going to
Okay. So
respond.
I'm in Wyoming and I'm in a prison. I have no Gogi material, but you've taught me a little bit about boss of my brain. How am I going to remember the 3 parts of my brain? Let's recap it for the students. So if they get nothing else, they come away with Coach Emileanno taught me what?
The smart part, the old habit part, the emotional thinking part. Watch. I call it the 5 second heartbeat, even though it's the 5 second light switch. But I have to say that when your heart rate changes and you feel your chart, this is a tool of the body. You're experiencing an emotional change where there's excitement, love, anger. Be aware of that. So now you're like, oh, wait a minute. Am I doing emotional thinking? Watch what part of your brain is moving and avoid the emotional thinking. Calm down and start rechanging your thought process. Don't
Right.
stop your thought process. Just rechange. So, okay, when I feel like this, let's make sure I'm ready to respond and not react because emotional thinking makes us react. We don't see things through, we just react to it and we don't respond to it. So
So what I hear you saying, Coach Emiliano, is first of all, if you don't have a lot of Gogi material, you don't got a big Gogi robust program wherever you are, slow down. Slow down, use Boss of My Brain as your go-to tool, Is it the smart part, the emotional part, or is it the old habit part that's in charge of me right now? And if individuals can do that slow down, if they can do that smart part, emotional part, or old habit part, you are saying, I think you're saying, this is the preparation they need to face the world outside. Is that correct?
That's the basic foundation of what they're gonna need. Being the
Great.
boss of their brain, using the smart part, getting in touch with it, making it more efficient, and that will what you need. Like even if you don't understand the tools of choice, being the smart part of your brain, you'd be like, well, you know what? I'm changing my life. I don't need to hang out with these dudes that's always talking negative anymore. You would naturally say that. You might not understand the words. That's why I like Gogi so much, because I was always trying to practice Gogi without understanding it. I
Right.
didn't have the word, the terms to use to articulately express what I was trying to do. And once I read it, it just boop, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I don't hang out with these guys anymore. This is why I don't do that anymore. Because it's not positive, it's not productive, it's not powerful. It doesn't do anything except fulfill a superficial need. So another thing I would warn them about while they're being prepped, explain to the board members or whoever's in charge of letting them out that you understand it's not about instant gratification. It's about the long term, putting one foot in front of the other along the little journey. Explain
The
that.
GOGI Life Tools, they certainly help you do that. And getting the coach status, I mean, that took you a couple years. You can't be instant gratification if you're
That
really.
That's the thing they like about Gogi, because even if you're just rewriting the same thing 10 times, like in some of the questions read, hey, write the 12 tools, write the 12 tools. And there's some courses, and people say see, that's the thing, is preparing you for the redundancy of life. You're gonna have to wake up at a certain time every day to go to work 5 days a week. You have to. And if the redundancy bother you, you're not gonna be able to do that.
You're
So
very true. I so appreciate you, Coach Emileanno, for coming on, volunteering your time. Much of your life and much of the help that you offer to people is because you understand that ultimate freedom comes through service. It's through showing up for things like this and not getting paid for it, taking time out of your day and just showing up for the other person that really wants to be a better person. And I just commend you for continuing to do that. I remember when you first got out, I remember that you got your bearings, that your footing. I remember your first job, and now I get to see the benefits of all of the progress that you've done. I'm just very, very proud of you.
thank you, appreciate it.
And to all of you who are doing release prep, know that release prep starts now. It starts today. Doesn't matter if you're an LWAP. It doesn't matter if you are a housewife with 14 kids and you feel like you have your own sort of prison. It doesn't matter if you are an addict and you feel like you are so far away from release from that. Preparation starts today. It starts using one tool for Coach Emileanno. It's Boss of My Brain. Smart part, emotional part, old habit part. Just slow it all down. Slow everything down, no matter who you are, no matter what your prison is. Slow it down and just consider smart part, emotional part, old habit part. That's how we do release prep, right, Emileanno?
That's how we do it, and that's how we maintain our release once we achieve our release prep.
For
That's how,
sure, for
that's how
sure.
we maintain it.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Coach Emileanno. I so appreciate your time.
Go